First of all, thanks to you guys for having me down, and thanked you guys for showing up. I hope that everyone in here, don't raise your hand if this is not true of you, has seen the SEC Network, has enjoyed the SEC Network, and most of all is buying all the products of the advertisers of the SEC Network. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story, which will end at the SEC Network. I am a University of Georgia graduate, proud of that. 1982, I graduated a long, long time ago, and I have been married for 28 years to the same woman, and who is wonderful. I have two boys that are both wonderful as well. One graduated last May from the other school in our state, Auburn, and the other one's a sophomore there now. And I will say this up front because a lot of you guys are probably thinking about or closing in on or wondering or worrying or fretting about your job and your future and what's that going to look like. So I will speak as a parent and as a professional in the industry because my son, who just graduated, is also in this business and was fortunate enough to do what he needed to do in his college years, again, which we'll get into, to get a position when he got out of school. He works for IMG College at the University of South Carolina. So he is in Columbia, and he is all of 7 months into his career. So it's a good time, and it's fun to be in the same business as with your son, at least in the same industry. So again, I'm native of Atlanta. I graduated from Georgia. And I went about getting into this profession exactly the wrong way, which was my last year as a student. I was a journalism major. I know some of you guys are communications, or most of you. So I was a telecommunications major, which in that day was radio, television, and film. You don't even know what film is anymore, but it was a part of our discipline at that time. I graduated and in the summer, and I went to the university's media relations director, and very naively said, "I think I kind of like this, and I'm a fan, and can I get a job?" I was about as polished as I was. I had no resume. I had nothing. I had a diploma, and that was about it. And he said, "Well, I will tell you that the only thing that we have available is a graduate assistantship, and it starts tomorrow." And I said, "Well, I graduated yesterday, so that'd be perfect." And so he said, "And I will pay you $650 a quarter." Georgia was on the quarter system then, not semesters. So you do the math, there's 4 quarters in a year. You know what I made when I first started as a graduate assistant, and it wasn't a whole lot. But he said, "Yeah, come tomorrow." And then he said, "Hey, on Friday before the first home game, I need you to be at the stadium about 8:30 and wear clothes that you can get dirty." So I'm like, "Oh, God, okay, it's interesting." So I show up, and he points to a pickup truck which had, I would say, hundreds, if not thousands, of boxes in it. And he said, "Look, those are the game programs for tomorrow, and we need to take them from here all the way to the press box." And that was about 200 stairs, and there was no elevator at that time in Sanford Stadium. And so that was my first day on the job in sports marketing. What a career path I was starting out on. I was carrying boxes upstairs in 89-degree heat in a Georgia summer, August Friday. So I say that to basically let you know that you are on a journey. You are not at a destination. And so that is really what has led me to here. After I worked 2 years as a graduate assistant, I moved to Birmingham for a 1-year internship with the SEC, back to Athens, worked 7 years there as the editor of the Georgia Bulldog magazine, which is, if you've seen something like Inside the Crimson Tide or something like that, it's the similar publication that Georgia no longer does because nobody reads anything on paper anymore. They all read it online, and so that publication is out of existence. From there in that was till 89. In '89, I moved to Auburn, and I worked there for 4 years in and around athletics. And then in 1993, moved to Birmingham with a company called Host Communications, which was the company that ran the SEC's corporate sponsorship program, which I knew nothing about. And then I did that until '99, when I went to work for a college sports cable startup that failed miserably, went out of business. You know, everybody's got to do that. They got to go out of business, you know, one time in their career. And then from there, I went to Jefferson Pilot Sports, which y'all may or may not remember. They used to do SEC football on television on Saturdays, the early game, 11:30 Central Time. So sold advertising and sponsorships there for 7 years. 2008, went to work for IMG College, running the SEC's corporate sponsorship program for a second time. And then in May, a year ago, so 16 months ago, went to work for ESPN when the SEC announced the new network and that the rights for their official sponsorship program were going to go with ESPN. They were gracious enough to hire me and my team of two in Birmingham. So that's where we are, and that's kind of where my circuitous route to get where I am. All thankfully in the Southeast, all thankfully within close range of my home, and all in the SEC, which has been a real benefit.